Good afternoon to everyone in the land of Zoom, and welcome to the Board of Health virtual meeting on Thursday, September 16th, scheduled for 4 p.m. My name is Thomas Corey. Present with me via Zoom is Michael Coughlin and Tess Curran, our agent for the board. We are not in the City Council hearing chambers. All are participating remotely from locations in the known universe. Tess, can you please call the roll?
Thomas Corey,
Present.
Michael Coughlin.
Present.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of Thursday, August 19th. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to be made to the minutes of the meeting as printed?
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second. Tess, can you call the roll?
Thomas Corey,
Yes?
Michael Coughlin.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is an open meeting law complaint from Patrick Higgins, alleged violation by the Board of Health meeting on August 19th, 2021. We need a motion to refer that to Corporation Council.
So moved. So moved.
I'll second. Tess, can we have a roll call?
Thomas Corey,
Yes?
Michael Coughlin.
Yes.
Okay, next, we're going to open up a hearing regarding 28 Cook Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. Faust Fiore is with us to bring us up to date on all this. Faust, if you would. But Faust, for the record, can you name and address for the public record?
Yes, my name is Faust Fiore. I'm the Director of Minimum Housing. My address is 6 Perry Avenue, Mattapoisett.
If you would, sir.
Well, we're here to hear an appeal. I guess the person appealing hasn't checked in yet. I can review the case a little bit here. The correction order was written by Josh Pacheco, who's an inspector. He's away at this time. So what I have here, and I believe you have it too, is his notice of violation and correction report,
Mm-hmm.
a correction order. And I also have a letter from the property owner, which states, and I admit I can't read every word, it's handwritten, but where the property owner claims that she was aware of the violations, she was aware of the deficiencies. I shouldn't say she was aware of the violations, those are two different things. But she was aware of all of the issues that are included in the inspection report before she purchased the house, which means she was aware of them before the inspection. This is one of those cases where there's not a lot of gray area. Smoke detectors are missing and light fixtures, a lot of lighting stuff. Bathtub is no longer a smooth impervious surface, which means it's difficult or impossible to clean thoroughly. And the bathroom fan is not functional. These are all pretty, some of the violations we see, you have to exercise some judgment to know whether it really is one or not, but these are all pretty standard, ordinary violations, easy to observe and not those that are subject to the judgment of the inspector. Of course, I don't know the exact basis of this appeal, but as I say in reading the letter, virtually everything that's in the correction order is stated as known to the owner by the owner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the motive for the appeal. I don't know what the reasoning is.
It is the owner who filed the appeal.
It is the owner that filed the appeal, yes.
You made reference to a tenant earlier, and is there
I'm
a
sorry,
tenant?
did I say tenant?
Yeah.
I'm not even supposed to use that word. I apologize. It's the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, the letter is from the owner.
Okay. Thank you. So given that, what are our options, Tom? I mean, we just deny the appeal, right?
That's about it. I mean, when I read the letter through a couple of times, the one that struck me is the one that said there's water leaking behind the shower head or something and down the wall. I would think any landlord would want to get that fixed because that means the third floor apartment has a problem and the second floor apartment has a problem and the first floor apartment has a problem with water going down the walls. So I would expect, and if she was aware of these things at the time of the inspection before the purchase, I see nothing else but to deny the appeal.
And she's not here to provide any additional information or plead, extenuating circumstances.
Mhm.
Were there any extenuating circumstances in the letter, Faust? I had trouble reading it too. Or Tom?
Well, I don't want to put any words into her mouth, but when she came to our office to first ask about this, and that is, consistent with the letter, she seemed to feel that because the previous owner had at some point agreed to make these corrections and hadn't done so, that it was not her responsibility. That's,
Yeah.
everyone here knows, there are some violations where we do not find the present or past an owner responsible. There are a few sections of the code where so for instance, someone has a bunch of stuff piled up in their hallway and that impedes their egress. And we ask the tenant, is this yours? And they say, yes, it's mine. So that would be an example of something where the owner is ultimately responsible, but that's something where we would write a code violation against the tenant initially. But none of these are like that. The code doesn't really ask us to determine who did what or when. We simply make an inspection and we note violations that we can directly observe. And in almost every case, the property owner is responsible. And in these cases, these are all like that. These are things like electrical fixtures. They're not necessarily structural, but they're permanent features of the house, like plumbing. It's not like an object that was brought in. Electric space heater that, on a long or 3 extension cords that the tenant obviously did, the occupant obviously did. These are things that are always, it's cut and dried, the responsibility of the owner and the responsibility of the owner who owns the house when we do the inspection. This is the way the code's written. I mean, I don't mean to state the obvious, but we don't have any leeway to say, well, somebody else did it in a case like this. It's not really about individuals. It's about the code and what we observe. And the owner is responsible. I mean, I tried to reason myself, why would the present owner not be responsible? This didn't take long to come to the conclusion that there's no leeway there. That's what the code states.
Okay, I'm of a similar opinion. Any further
Yeah.
discussion or?
No, I mean, I don't see any grounds to do anything other than deny the appeal.
Okay, if you'll make the motion,
Yeah, so I move that we deny this appeal.
I'll second. Tess, can we have a roll call?
Thomas Corey,
Yes?
Michael Coughlin,
Yes.
Yes. That closes the hearing regarding 28 Cook Street in Fall River. Tess, you have a COVID-19 update for us.
yes, so I just wanted to share our numbers with you all. So as of the most recent state data, the city had a 4.64% positivity rate, and our daily average incidence rate was 28.6. In terms of our vaccination rates, 56.7% of the community has received the first dose, and 50.9% of the community is fully vaccinated. So, we continue to be, again, below the state averages, but are seeing about a half percentage point increase each week. And I think that's, you know, in line with what other communities and even what kind of this state is seeing in a sense. So, you know, our efforts, while, you know, certainly not anywhere where we'd like to be in terms of our percent of the community vaccinated, you know, we're continuing on with outreach teams, with kind of that tailored and targeted block by block approach, where we're also looping in the area and really trying to drive the outreach workers to a set area, and then encourage them to get folks at the ongoing clinics. So this week we're at Stop and Shop on Rodman Street. Last week we were at the Fall River Shopping Center down by Burlington Coat Factory and Ocean State Job Lot. The week prior we were at Price Right, and over those 4 or 5 days we're getting about 50 to 60 people vaccinated, which is actually, you know, we haven't quite seen those numbers in some time. So again, we're happy with that. We're happy that, you know, we're able to provide the vaccine to you know, folks in an easy and comfortable location to them. We are going to be doing some school clinics the last week of September, and we're working with community partners and the United Way on those to, you know, get a campaign out and you know, some kind of other giveaways and incentives to try and increase the number of vaccinations amongst the school-aged children. But those clinics are going to be open to the public. So, you know, parents, guardians, or people who live in the area would have the opportunity to go to those clinics as well. So, you know, again, happy to kind of take any suggestions or any considerations that the board has regarding the vaccines.
I mean, there's no magic to this test. It's very labor intensive, but we really don't have any choice but to do it. It does seem like it's ticked up a little bit over these last few weeks, which is in line with what we're seeing elsewhere. That Delta variant is driving is an additional incentive for people to make the decision to get vaccinated.
And you know, our cases are kind of mirroring the groups that are under vaccinated as well. So we're, you know, hoping that after you know, people are cleared of isolation, they may consider getting vaccinated. And we still send our cases to the Community Tracing Collaborative that the state has, you know, provided as a resource, and are encouraging them to discuss the FRVAX website that we still have, so people can, you know, find a clinic that's convenient for them, and encouraging if any family members in the household aren't vaccinated, you know, to do so after isolation or quarantine.
Are we well positioned for when the CTC contract ends at the end of the year, or will be all set?
Yes, actually, thank you for asking that, because we were awarded. I did apply for a community a COVID-19 contact tracing grant, which we were awarded, and so we won't, you know, be in a position where we can't keep up with the demand as you know, we progress into the winter. As it states right now, I believe the CTC is not going to be accepting any new cases mid-November or end of November, to allow for, you know, them to cover the folks who are in isolation and quarantine through December. So we'll be up and running. I have to hire some new team members and get going on that, as we will be, you know, we are an awardee, so that's going to be helpful. And those individuals, they, when we get folks hired, they would be 100% responsible for the COVID investigations and anything as it relates to COVID. But in the event that there is, you know, a kind of a lull or a dip in cases, and they don't have a full plate of COVID investigations, they are able to work on other projects within the health department, and could support, you know, whether it be the public health nurses or do some data collection, and things like that for non-COVID issues.
Right. Are you confident you'll find qualified people? Because there are a lot of these grants went out, so the competition for qualified staff is going to be intense.
I know. I'm hopeful. I don't know. I know New Bedford also received the contact tracing grant. I don't know about the others, you know.
That's true. This region is not as well represented as other parts of the state, so that's a good point. Yeah.
So hopefully, hopefully we'll, you know, we, you know, have some funding to make salaries maybe a little competitive, and hope that it'll work out. But I think it's going to be a great resource for us, and certainly will be needed. You know, we are the team of 2 nurses now, even with the CTC, just sending the cases and working with the schools is really very busy. So there's definitely a need there.
Do you need nurses for that, or what are the qualifications for that kind of job?
So no, they don't have to be a nurse to do the contact tracing. You know, I was really hoping to have some kind of you know, some epidemiology kind of background, so that we could maybe utilize some more data analysis and honing in on that. So I'm hoping that there's, you know, an epi in the area that would want to come join the health department.
Have we told the board about the other grant that we got?
No,
Yeah.
and I haven't yet received an official award letter. So I was gonna,
Those take a while to go out. Yeah.
okay, so we did apply for another grant, and this is a shared services grant that we did get verbal confirmation of, and I've attended a few meetings about, but haven't, you know, signed anything yet. But this grant is another great opportunity for the health department, and we collaborated with Swansea and CCONC on the grant. And again, it's a shared services grant, so the requirement for the state was that we had to have a minimum of 3 communities. So the 3 communities joined together in an application. We're maybe, as it stands right now, CCONC really needs a public health nurse. So that's going to be one item that is part of the deal, as well as an epidemiologist for the 3 communities, as there's a need for kind of more up-to-date and accurate data, and it would certainly help the region. So there's potentially some flexibility in adding some maybe additional positions and or you know, expanding to multiple communities, more than the 3. So there's a potential for increased funding as well as increased or expanded positions within that grant, if we're able to do so. So again, you know, more funds within the health department to help with not only COVID, but also to try and expand kind of some of the data in the community, so we can do some more timely interventions, and kind of get a better pulse on what's happening in the community, and you know, real time, or as close to real time as we can.
Sounds good.
This is by far the largest opportunity that DPH has been able to offer local health to support their core services. We've been able to give out categorical grants for the tobacco control and substance abuse and things like that, but we haven't been able to support local health in doing their core services. This money supports inspections and public health nursing in a way we've never been able to do before, and it's all going to go through shared service collaborative. So it was critical that Tess was able to get Seacock and Swansea to go along, because we had a minimum of 3 to be eligible. And if we can get Somerset and Westport to come on board at some point, then the department is committed to increasing the dollars that go into the contract. So it's great that we got into this, that the Fall River got into this at the beginning. And there's a long-term commitment for the state to support local health through these grants.
Very good. Okay, anything else on the COVID issue?
So one kind of other thing as it relates to COVID is the ARPA funding and the request for, you know, the federal government to, or the ARPA funds coming through the federal government to the state to be allocated to local public health. So that's just, you know, something that, you know, I am in support of, and will be speaking next week at a hearing on you know, the need for the state to allocate funding to local public health. And there also is, you know, kind of an ongoing letter that individuals in the community can you know, sign in support of that funding being allocated to the state. You know, again, this is kind of a unique opportunity where usually local public health, you know, doesn't get a lot of funding, you know, at the federal or state level. So the hope is that funding will be allocated more to local public health here in Massachusetts with that ARPA funding coming through to this at the state level. That's next Tuesday. That's when I will be.
Okay. Is there any new business of such a manner that it could not make the agenda?
No new business.
Was there anything for citizens' input?
No, we did not receive anything for citizens.
Okay.
input.
The last item then is to confirm the date for the next meeting. Following our usual pattern of the fourth Thursday of the month, it would be October 28th.
Fine.
Sounds good.
Okay, the 28th at 4 o'clock. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Good, John.
Do we have a roll call?
Thomas Corey,
Yes?
Michael Coughlin,
Yes.
Stephen Gagliardi.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank
Thank you, Alex.
Hey. Well,
Care.